Hello and welcome to Network. I am Lebogang Sejake, your host for this Women's Month. Please do follow us on our social media platforms. It is at SABC Network on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. And we are News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Now let's take a look at what's coming up on the show. Robots and other technologies were a big talking point at the Singularity University Summit. In Ghana, 9 African countries have signed a memorandum of understanding to partner in the Square Kilometre Array. Our discussion is about women in leadership in the tech industry with Shal Amin from Microsoft. How are you, Shal?
I'm good, thanks, Levo. How are you?
Great stuff. So tell me, do you think there are enough women in leadership roles in the tech industry?
Well, women represent 20% of the technology industry in South Africa. So no, there are less women in leadership positions and it's not enough.
Okay, we will be unpacking that later on the show. Here's your technology and social media news. The Singularity University Summit, which took place in Johannesburg recently, looked at how technology can improve the lives of Africans. Siphumelele Zondi played around with robots when he was there.
Mobile technologies, robots and virtual reality were just some of the talking points at the Singularity University Summit that took place in Kyalami, just outside Johannesburg.
Hello, watch Network on SABC3.
The robot Now was also on show there.
The Now robot over here is a 2-foot-tall humanoid robot. It's built to be a little bit more humanoid. So this is a kind of robot that you can have in a research universities, or you could have for educators, and then they would show the basics on how humanoid robotics can interact with people for social interaction. We have a much larger version which is similar to the Now robot called Pepper. Pepper is a 4-foot-tall humanoid robot. It's white, and right now it's currently being used in business-to-business settings. So this is the kind of robot you could place in a hospital or a bank as a teller or a receptionist.
Robots aren't just toys anymore. The discussions here were on how they can improve our lives.
For it, where it's being used in the medical space, where doctors are beaming in and engaging with their patients. We've also got another use for it where in the education facility, where a teacher beams in and actually facilitates the class. And that's especially important in our country and continent because we have a scarcity of both of those.
Africa has some of the lowest robots per working person in the world. I think it's only about 4 robots per 100,000 actually humans working in manufacturing environments. And so I think that some of the new things that are coming along, especially around human-robot collaboration in manufacturing environments, can allow certain countries in Africa who are interested in doing this to basically use robots to physically augment human manufacturing workers and therefore manufacture more complex products, get into different spaces than you would if you had the old school manufacturing paradigm of.
And Africa's high mobile phone penetration is still resulting in the creation of more ideas that utilize phones.
Max is a crowdsourced mobility platform for retail and for transportation in Africa. Essentially what we do is we build mobile technology that connects motorcycle taxis to commuters and businesses in real time. We kicked off in Lagos. We've been in Lagos for the last 18 months, thereabout.
The South African leg of the Singularity Summit was one of a few that take place around the world.
The Google Tracker device has been taken all across South Africa to get photos of new places to be added to Google View that people see on maps. It's a heavy device that weighs over 25,000 kilos. Take a look.
If you love a bit of adventure, you probably want to see photos of the destinations you're interested in visiting before packing your bag and going there. So Google gave their tracker device to Discover Africa so they could map out many parts of South Africa.
The tracker is a device that consists of multiple cameras that allows us to capture imagery of the world we live in and then present those imagery into Street View within Google Maps.
So Discover Africa gave the tracker to South Africans in different parts of the country, and locals helped to provide new images of the country. Balancing the tracker is quite a challenge. Now imagine climbing up a mountain with it. It is 25 kilograms. A part of it is right at the back, and there's a camera and a huge portion right at the top. Despite it being heavy, it's still important to map out the country.
If you want to think commercially or about tourism as an industry for South Africa, it's vital that we show off how beautiful we are to the world. You know, we've got to do that. So that brings more visitors, and that drives the economy and investment, etc. But there's more to it than just sort of the commercial angle. It's about creating awareness of our wilderness areas. You know, a large majority of South Africans have never been to our national parks.
Google recently launched 8 new images of South Africa. Even if you're not interested in leaving your house, you can travel through South Africa with these images.
Now, 9 African countries have committed to developing astronomy on the continent. They signed a memorandum of understanding to this regard in Ghana.
This is Ghana Radio Astronomy Observatory, situated northwest of the capital, Accra, is where Africa's engineering and technical excellence is already transforming the lives of locals. A historic day in Ghana. The much-anticipated radio telescope finally launched. It was converted from a telecommunications dish.
It's my hope that the integration of this radio telescope into the African Very Long Baseline Interferometer Network, in preparation for the second phase, construction of the square kilometer array across the African continent, will be successful.
Roughly halfway between South Africa and Europe, Ghana is strategically positioned.
I thank our partners in South Africa for their assistance in the satellite conversion process, and more especially for their help in the ongoing training of scientists made up of computer scientists and astronomers in South African universities to manage and operate this facility.
A joint project pioneered by South African and Ghanaian scientists is a giant leap for the continent.
The African story, beginning here, will continue. Sites have been selected in Botswana, in Kenya, in Namibia. We are gathering momentum in Madagascar and Mauritius, and we have new plans underway in Mozambique and Zambia. Truly a Pan-African effort.
The 32-meter radio telescope will form part of a network of observatories.
After the break, we will be talking about women in tech leadership roles. It is at SABC Network on all social media platforms. Stay tuned.
The Pan-African Parliament as a legislative body could go a long way in continuing to promote women's rights in all African member states.
Moon will be elected president. A decisive win by him will provide much needed stability in South Korea.
The Deputy President and the SADC Oversight Committee have been mandated to convene a multi-stakeholder national dialogue before elections.
5 teams are trapped in the relegation mud. These include Bloemfontein Celtic, 12th on the log, followed by Chippa United, Free State Stars and Baroka, who are second from the bottom, as well as Highlands Park, who have won only 4 matches.
We're on point with breaking stories, detailed economy and sport. Tune into Midday Report every Monday to Friday from 12 p.m.
Meningitis is a potentially deadly disease that affects more than 1 million people worldwide each year.
Well, it's an infection of the lining of the brain and the spinal cord. And It's caused by a variety of bacteria.
And also, importantly, with fungal meningitis, there's no transmission from person to person.
In South Africa and elsewhere in the world, the ministries of health etc. have recognized this as an important disease to prevent. And vaccines have been introduced into immunization, routine immunization programs.
It's really important to prevent, and the best way to prevent is to have people know their HIV status, start antiretroviral treatment as soon as possible.
For all your health news, join Health Talk every Saturday from 9 to 10.
What guides us? What leads us forward? Is it the advice of our elders? Is it the actions of our people? Or the voices of our citizens? Your country is guided by the voices of its people, and your broadcaster is dependent on your voice to guide it. Get your copy of the SABC's editorial policy and have your say.
You about the challenges and triumphs women are making in the tech sector. This week we look at women in leadership roles in this sector with Shal Amin from Microsoft. How are you, Shal? Thank you for being our guest. Now tell me, you say you're a partner development manager. What is that exactly?
I help companies solve problems and their customer problems to achieve more. And the companies that I work with are the big IT consulting firms. And so I work with them in understanding their strategies and building on their strengths so that they can build digital solutions on the Microsoft technology platform to help their customers and address their strategies.
Now tell me, was it a challenge to get to the position that you're at as a woman?
Absolutely.
What are some of the challenges that you faced?
Look, firstly, Lebo, I grew up in an Indian community in Durban where role models were limited and we were plagued with social ills. So, you know, even though I matriculated with an exemption, all in higher grade back then, I didn't have a position in a university and my family couldn't afford it. So when I arrived in Johannesburg and arrived in the corporate world, I was at a huge disadvantage because I didn't have a tertiary education. And so I really had to start at the bottom as a junior receptionist, study and work at the same time amongst people who had already had degrees and were professionals.
Now, Shal, do you think the industry sort of is intimidating for women to sort of join?
I feel that, you know, if you're not exposed to the technology industry, if you don't engage with female role models, as a female, it can be intimidating. And so there's a great role to play by females in leadership positions to engage females, young females, to encourage them to move into the tech industry.
You talk about engaging young females. What do you think can be done by, families or the state to sort of enhance that interest in girls to join the tech industry?
I think there's a big responsibility on the technology industry itself. For corporate to engage youngsters, male or female, and expose them to the possibilities of technology, how technology can help shape our country and solve the world's problems and the role that they could play and be successful at it.
All right, so tell us about your day-to-day work life. What do you, when you check into work, what exactly do you get up to?
Well, everyone has a very big mailbox, but I always strive to focus on the things that are my KPIs and my goals, because one can easily be distracted by your mailbox. You know, your email is everyone else's priorities, not your own. And so it's always important to focus on the things that you need to achieve for the day and what you need to achieve for the week.
So which other companies have you worked? Obviously, you've worked prior. So which other companies have you worked for before Microsoft?
So I've only really worked for two corporates and organizations. I spent 8 years at KPMG and now 9 years at Microsoft.
Oh, okay. So now, what tips can you give young girls that want to join the tech industry?
So, you know, education for me is so important. And as young females, you have to constantly be curious and feed that curiosity with learning, constantly educate yourself. But it's also important to have goals, many goals. And when you establish those goals, identify people and surround yourself with people who are going to help you to achieve those goals. But also, companies who are diverse and inclusive are more successful. And so when they hire females, they're not looking for another man. They're looking for a female to bring herself to the game, to to acknowledge her own diversity and make that unique contribution.
So you're talking about a woman to bring something different to the game. What something can a woman bring to the table that was never there before?
It's a different perspective, it's a diverse perspective, and each of us are different. Each of us consider things in different ways. Each of us have different favorite colors and different favorite shapes, and it's about that diversity that we need to acknowledge and bring.
Oh, okay. So what are some of the barriers did you encounter in joining the tech industry specifically?
I think, actually, regardless of the industry that you join, as a female, even if you're educated, experienced, and credible, one of the challenges that every female faces is the perception that when you signal your interest in starting a family, the perception is that you're not serious about your career. And the dangerous thing about that perception is that it affects females more because you start to believe it. And so then the battle becomes the battle inside before you can even start the battle on the outside. And that's so believe in yourself and trust in who you are.
All right. Cheryl, tell me, what programs does Microsoft have to sort of get girls into the industry?
So Microsoft has a number of programs, and if I could start at the bottom, we do a lot to encourage young female learners into STEM careers, into technology careers. And so we do a lot at the school level to educate teachers and learners. But also, we have various programs, one of them called DigiGirls, where we identify girls who are already studying in the area of technology and encourage them to stay in those areas and continue to work in the technology industry.
Charl, I'm afraid I have to cut you there. Thank you, though, for coming through to our show. Next up, we chatted to radio presenter Pearl Mudiadia about her favorite piece of technology.
My name is Pearl Mudiadia, and my favorite gadget in the world has to be my phone. My whole life is in my phone. I literally feel like I'm going to die without it. I can't go a day without it. My family members are there. It's the only way I can reach them. What else? Games when I'm bored. All of my emails. So I do work on my phone. Social media. My weather apps. All my favorite apps are there. All my fashion apps. All my shopping apps are there. As well as, what else is in there? What else is in there that's really important? Maps. Yeah, I need to get around.
The Law Society has slammed notices sent to 4 universities to jack up standards or risk losing their LLB courses. The Council on Higher Education issued a stern warning to the universities to conform within 6 months.
I think it will affect the university. I think outside the law faculty, there's a funding issue.
It's been 112 years since Enoch Sontonga died as a relatively unknown composer, choir master and teacher. But today his legacy lives on through his greatest composition, Nkosi Sikeleli Afrika.
For all your news updates, stay tuned to Your World from Monday to Sunday.
After a horrific accident, major questions were asked.
So step one, I asked myself, do I really want to die? And my answer to that was, I'm not sure. And then step two was, do I want my parents to bury me? And the answer to that was no.
Learning kept his brain in full action on how the brain works.
When I was in hospital, right, as I was saying, to catch up with my peers, I started to become obsessed with memory techniques and how the brain works and how we retain information.
Touching lives is his continuous mission.
I now work for a non-profit where we deal with access issues regarding kids with disabilities and persons with disability. We're busy working on beach access.
Being wheelchair-bound did not stop fun in his life.
I party in a wheelchair, I laugh in a wheelchair, I smile in a wheelchair.
For all your uplifting stories, catch Bupilong every Friday.
What guides us? What leads us forward? Is it the advice of our elders? Is it the actions of our people? Or the voices of our citizens? Your country is guided by the voices of its people, and your broadcaster is dependent on your voice to guide it. Get your copy of the SABC's editorial policy and have your say.
Welcome back. Samsung has revealed its latest device, and waterway taxis might be the new Uber in Paris. These are some of the tech stories that made headlines in the last week.
Samsung Electronics revealed the new Galaxy Note 8 phablet at this year's highly anticipated Unpacked on Wednesday, New York City. Sporting features like dual rear cameras and its biggest ever screen in hopes it will extinguish memories of its fire-prone predecessor. Samsung also took a jab at Apple at the event in New York.
It's those people kind of in the middle that are looking at Android, looking at iPhone, they're saying, which way should I go? And I think this device raises the bar quite a bit, and I don't think Apple's going to be able to meet it, quite honestly.
South Africans could become part of the action by watching the live streaming of the Unpacked New York event. Also on Wednesday at the same time in Beijing, China, though, the World Robot Conference kicked off, providing a platform for both domestic and foreign enterprises to showcase their newest and most sophisticated robots designed for tasks that require a knowledge of human emotions. The bot economy is taking off worldwide, as seen with Teotronico, a robot with 56 fingers designed to play the piano, definitely winning over attendees with his musical prowess. Then there is Yo-Yo. This robot uses facial recognition software and can interact with users. Made up of 5 detachable parts, Yo-Yo has 22 joints, allowing it to move swiftly from place to place.
Currently, service robots are for home and commercial use. Our robot Yo-Yo is for home use, serving as an electronic housekeeper. We also have robots for educational purposes, for K-12 education.
The exhibition offers visitors, children in particular, the chance to participate in sports activities and games with various robots. Now off to Paris, France, where French yachtsman Alain Thibault wants to use a boat design he used to break the world speed sailing record in 2009 into a clean, fast taxi service for the waterways of major cities called Sea Bubbles. The Sea Bubbles prototype preserves its battery by raising out of the water on legs at speed. Its mobile application matches those of other regular taxi services such as Uber, while its goal is to disrupt their market and put an end to traffic jams in major cities. But the bubble can only have a chance of running in Paris if the authorities raise the Seine speed limit so it can go fast enough to rise out of the water, a request that thus far has been rejected. About 5 other cities are interested in exploring whether the Sea Bubble can become part of their public transport systems.
The TV presenter Bonang Matheba, otherwise known as Your Girl B, has launched an app, and I was there to experience it. South African TV personality Bonang Matheba, otherwise known as the Queen Bee, has joined the ranks of Khloe, Kylie Kardashian and televangelist TD Jakes in the mobile app world. Endorsed by Cell C, the Beemoji app is aimed at bringing fans closer to their favorite personality.
We want to create stickiness with our customers and be able to bring them platforms that allows them to be themselves. and engage in a way that allows them to bring their celebrities in a space where they can engage with them one-on-one, communicate with them, see what and what Penang brings.
Some of the content in the app entails behind-the-scenes videos as well as the TV personalities' favorite hotspots. However, she says that there's more to the app than what meets the eye.
What this app is going to do that nobody else does is kind of remind people that there are 50 million African girls who go every year without school, and we need to put them through school. So yes, we got the inspiration from Kim and Kylie and all of that, but I think this is another touch point where we can say, hey, yes, we can tell you about, you know, the fashion, the hair, the makeup, the pizzazz, but Bonang Matiba Bursary Fund wants to put 50 million African girls through school by the year 2030.
The B-emoji is only available on the Android operating system and not yet on iOS. It is free for 7 days of subscription, and postpaid is charged 50 Rand per month. Non-Cell C users are charged 60 Rand per month. This week, our Twitter poll has been asking if you are happy with the manner in which Vodacom dealt with wrongful billing. 20% of respondents say yes. That figure is in the last place. In first place are respondents who say no. They are at 43%. And in second place are 37% of you who say they were not affected. Well, Women's Month is over, which means Pumela Zondi will be back to present the show next week. Same time, same place. And we are at SABC Network on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. We are News Network at sabc.co.za on email. We leave you with a video of Gamescom, which took place in Germany recently. From me and the rest of the network team, until next time.